everyone, welcome back to Mennonite Heritage Village and Home for Kids. I'm your host, Hannah Friesen. Today, I'm in the tractor shed, and I'd like to give a special shout out to Jacob from Ontario. We heard you like tractors, so I thought that we would show you some of our tractors here in the village. Today on the show, Katie Lowen from Niverville will be telling us a story about Valentine's. Beth, one of our summer staff, will be telling us how to weave. And Nita will be telling us a short story about the flower gardens. Stay tuned for more information about how you can enter our contest.
Here we have The Day It Rained Hearts by Felicia Bond. It says especially for Roger. One day it started raining hearts. And Cornelia Augusta caught one. And she caught another and another. It wasn't very hard, so she caught some more. Wow. It must be getting close to Valentine's Day, she thought. And she set to work making valentines. The hearts she caught would make perfect hearts. Cornelia Augusta saw that all of her hearts were different. She looked at each one from the front, from the back, and from the side, and decided which ones would be just right for her friends. She found 7 that were more or less alike and strung them together with a needle and thread. I know just the right person for this one, she thought. Then Cornelia Augusta took an especially handsome heart and glued it on a piece of paper. In the center of the heart, she glued a cotton ball, one that was very white and very soft, and she knew instantly who this card would be for. Cornelia Augusta had 8 hearts left. On the largest one, she drew circles and then very carefully cut them out. The other hearts were so small, she arranged all of them on one piece of paper. Around the heart, she painted patterns of many colors. Then she folded the design in half. There was no doubt in her mind who would receive these. Cornelia Augusta put a stamp on each one of her valentines, and then she mailed them. It never rained hearts again. Not where Cornelia Augusta lived anyway. But it didn't matter, because the next year, and the next, and all the years after that, Cornelia Augusta found other ways to make valentines. The end.
Hi, my name's Beth. You might have remembered me from the Pioneer day camps we had this summer. Today, I'm going to teach you how to make a paper plate weaving flower. So what you'll need is a ruler, a pair of scissors, a plate, and your favorite yarn. Okay, so step 1 is you take your paper plate and you draw straight lines from 1 to 16. So if you can see here, there is 1, 2, 3, all the way to 16. And then with each number, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut a little slit right by your number, okay? So 1, 2, 3, all the way to 16. Now it's time to set up our loom. So take your yarn and make a long string like this. Oh, this one has a knot in it. Let's grab a different one. We'll use this instead. So you're going to tie a knot right at the end of the string, and you're going to put it at the number 1 slit. After you put it at the number 1 slit, you're going to draw a line to your number 9. And then hook it. And when I say hook it, I mean you make it go in the back like that so it doesn't come out. So you hook it to your number 10 and you draw it all the way to number 2. And then you hook it from the 2 to the number 3. And you do 3 all the way to 11. So it looks like a snowflake almost. Hook it to 12, down to 4, hook it to 5, down to 13, hook it to 14, down to 6, hook it to 7, down to 15, hook it to 16, and down to 8. So it should end up looking like this. After you're done, you can tie a knot and then cut, or you can cut the string off and then tie a knot. Now that that's over, we can start with the fun part, with the weaving. So we're going to take the same string, or you can take a different color, it doesn't really matter. And then you're going to start at number 1, right here. So number 1 will be your under, and then number 2 will be your over. So let's take about an arm length of string, and you'll cut it off, and you'll tie it to your number 1, your under. And if it's tied a little high up, you can just push it to the middle. The closer you can get to the middle, the better. Okay? So take your other end, and we're going to do an over-under motion. So 2 is over, and then 3 is under. And you're going to pull that. It's going to look a little funny at first, but the more you do it, the more the pattern will come out. So then number 3 will be the over, and number 5 will be the over, and number 6 will be the under. And then number 8 will be the over, and 9 will be the under. And number 10 will be the over, and number 11 will be the under. Oops. Number 13 over, 14 under, and this is the last one. 15 will be over, and 16 will be under. Okay, and once you get back to the beginning, you can continue with your over and your under, or if you want to do a different pattern, you can switch it up. So you could do 2 under, 2 over, you could do under, over, over, under, you could always reverse it, and you just keep going until you're done with the string. Eventually, it'll look like this. Or if you do a different pattern, it might look a little different too. So the important part, or one of the important parts of weaving, is that you don't want to pull too tight. If you pull too tight, then the pattern won't come out, or it'll start to bundle up and look like a ball. So just keep it nice and loose, nice and slow, and don't pull too tight. So once you're done and you're happy with your design, you can go as big as you want. I'm just going to go this big for now. I'll show you what we're going to do. So you're going to, well, because I have so much extra yarn, I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter. Like that. And then I'm going to tie it at the next set of string. If you don't want to tie it, then you can also just tuck it in. I just like tying it because then it won't unravel. Then you can cut off the tail of where you tied it. And then you'll be good to take it off the plate. So to take it off the plate, it's really easy. First you go to your number 1 and you lift up this string that was under the tab. So it looks like a loop. See? And you cut the loop, and then you can see that one of the strings is over one of the strings is over the flower and the other string is under the flower. So we'll tie that up so then the string doesn't come out. And if you tie it really tight, it'll end up looking like a flower. And if you tie it loose, it'll end up looking like a circle. And then you can snip the little tail ends like that. And you can go on to your next one. So let's do the 2 and 3 next. You take it off the hook and you cut the loop. And you can tie it. And then you cut the tail. Okay, so in the end, it'll look something like this. Thank you for doing crafts with me today. I would love to see how yours turned out. You can send pictures at info@mhv.ca. Thanks for joining me. Have a good day. Bye.
Hello everyone, it's Nita from the museum, and today's story is for everyone who loves flowers. It is a book about Mennonite flowers, and it's called Grandma's Garden, Mennonite Flower Culture by Marilyn Dewick, who's a local from Steinbach, and she wrote the little stories and also illustrated with beautiful watercolor some of the different flowers that you might see in a Mennonite garden. And we'll start with the blue iris. Just a beautiful, beautiful flower. This is a story about tulips. Mama, Mama! Anna burst through the kitchen door. Slow down, Anna. What has you so excited? Is the big brown bear after you? No, Mama, there's no bear chasing me. Anna jumped up and down excitedly. But I just saw the first green tips of the tulips in the garden. That means it's spring, right? Mama smiled and nodded her agreement. That also means we have lots of work to do getting the gardens planted. Tulips have long been included in Mennonite gardens. Perhaps the Mennonites brought them along from their time in Holland when they migrated to Prussia and then to South Russia before coming to North America in the late 1800s. In Holland, tulip bulbs were valued as gold during a brief span in the 1600s. Tulips have remained a favorite in Mennonite gardens to the present as a beautiful reminder of our ancestral roots.
Did you enjoy the stories and the craft? I sure did. Did you know that we have a contest? You can enter to win this spirograph. All you have to do is click the link in the description and get your parents to help you fill out the form. Also, we have a winter carnival this Saturday, February 13th. I would love for you to join me if you live in the Manitoba area. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, share it with all of your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you want, you can click the little bell and it'll give you a notification every single time we upload a new video. See you next week.